Okay, my shooting board, one of the things I do like, a couple things I guess, are this fence that's adjustable. It's got slots here to slide the fence up to my Veritas shooting plane. So I like that part. The other thing I like is this Formica surface that it rides on, nice and slick, and it operates very well. So I do like that a lot. Now, a couple of things that I don't like are the fact that I have to use a different shooting board when I want to do a 45-degree cut. I've got a dedicated 45-degree angle for that. But what if there's something in between? And oftentimes, when you're doing 90-degree cuts, it's not a true 90-degree angle that you need. It's maybe a half degree one way or the other. So this has the ability to do that. I've got that little bit of adjustment. So that's there, I guess. And then I've got a saw kerf running here to take care of the sawdust. The other thing I don't like is that when I built this, I built it with a pin in the bottom to sit in my table here. There it is. So that locks in place, and since I've added extrusion, now my work is getting a little too far away from me. So I'd like to be able to back this thing up. I could take and cut that off. That wouldn't be a big deal. But that's not what I'm after right now anyway. So I want something that I can lock down out here. I'll probably just end up putting a board across the bottom to hold it 90 degrees. I want to incorporate aluminum extrusions into the body to give me that infinite adjustability of the fence and some stability in the setup itself. So I'm going to take this apart. I don't think I can reuse this. I'm almost positive I can't, because these are thicker than a half-inch Baltic birch, or 12 millimeter, I believe it is. So I'm going to cut a new base, and then we'll just kind of go forward from there. Right, on second thought, I may be able to reuse this. Just to show you my fence setup I had before was a bushing in which this 1/4-inch dowel, steel dowel, sat in that. That gave me a nice fit, no slop. It worked out really nice. So let me see if I can get this off of here. There we go. I need to remove that as well. So if I inset 2 pieces of extrusion, something like that, that gives me infinite possibilities to attach a fence in any angle that I would like. So I've got to get these grooves cut, and as long as I'm working with this piece here, it's basically like playing with house money, because if I screw it up, I'll just go get a new piece like I had intended to do anyway. I've got some screws that I used from my previous version of this. And these two are no problem. They're on the right side of my cuts. This one here, however, though, is going to be right in the middle of it. So I've got to get that one taken care of. All right, it's not coming out. It's just spinning, I think. Yeah, it's moving. As I push down here, I've managed to break through the other side here, and I think it's a screw head. Just looking at the size of the dimple. So I think I'm just going to flip this over and bring it out from the other way. See here where I broke the formica. See if I can minimize the damage. Yeah, that's a square head screw. Got to push up on that at the same time I'm backing it out here. Now, when all else fails, I'm just going to resort to some good old-fashioned brute force here. Well, and there's why it was just spinning. There was no threads on it. But I got it out. So it won't damage my saw blade. This is going to be cut away anyway because there'll be a groove here and one there. So let me get that set up. I've been thinking about this all wrong. This needs to be my surface that my plane runs on, but then on top of that needs to be my surface to hold my work. So I don't need to stitch anything to the back. I need to stitch it to the top. And what I've done here, and I'm glad I've caught myself, is this first groove is too deep. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of 6mm on top. I mean, I could go with this half. Would not be that big of a deal. And then my grooves are only going to be 4mm deep. Yeah, 4. So What I need to do now is fill this groove so that I can recut it. So I'll cut a strip of wood, glue it in there, let that sit for a little while, and then come back and recut this. Okay, repair is in place, and I'm going to sneak up on my 4mm depth. So I've got it back to 0, or where I was started anyway. Let's see how close we come here. 4mm. All right, that's about as close as I'm going to get. I can't do any better than that, really. I can just see a fraction of daylight underneath there, which is not really a bad thing to have this just slightly below this. So I'm going to run with that right there. I've got to slide over and get my other one here. I just finished cutting up some filler strips here. And this was the most important piece in my book, that I got that to fit nice and snug, which I did. And then these on the outside, this was the next important one, to make sure that the width still allowed access to that sawdust strip there. And then the outside one is no big deal. That's just going to be, again, a filler, strip. So it looks nice and flat. Now the next thing is to get this all attached, and for these wood strips, no big deal. I think I'm just going to use 3 countersunk screws. These, however, have to be fastened through the bottom, and I'll use T-nuts in this internal slot here. I'll slide them in, and again I'll do 3 holes, but I've got to get that. I've got to drill those 3 holes, through holes, in exactly the same spot on this as well as these. So it's looking pretty good. I'm happy with the way it's going so far. All right, drilling these extrusions, I'm using a drill bit that's 1/64 over a quarter, so 9/64. 3 inches from the end, and I marked both pieces, and I'm doing these at the same time. I've marked an X so that I know this is the registration end. So 3 inches from the end. These are just about 21 inches long, just a hair over, but I'm going to go with 21. So 10.5 is the center, and this is the reason I like my table drill table fence, is that I'm able to set this up and move my stop now 3, 6, 7.5 inches to get 10.5. So just take off the blocks, slide over to my next stop here, lock down. I'm going to bring in my other piece that I've got my 10.5 inch mark on. Slide that in place, and there's my mark, and that's right on the money. So I'm good to go. This inside one, I could not use my fence. It was too far in. It was just too far away. being in the middle like this. So what I did was I just set my extrusion in place, used this as a template, drilled this hole, and then put my T-nut and bolt and connected it, and then just use this as a template and just free drilled these other two. So that worked out really well. So I'll just get this finished and get it attached. And one thing I will show you here is I ended up real lucky. Get the sawdust out of there. On this middle one, I just missed this dowel. I wasn't even thinking about it, but it turned out great. So I'll just finish these up, and these will be attached, and they are solid, which is really what I'm looking for. Slightly below that surface so they won't scratch my workbench. And that's going to be nice. So now I'll just get the rest of this done. I'll get my strips in here, drill and countersink for wood screws. I guess I got a little carried away when I said we'd be done. The deck here is finished. I really like the way that turned out. I guess my other piece of wood is over there. I don't know how straight these are. Pretty good. That'll work. Okay, so I need to create a fence that I can pivot and lock in at 90 degrees. So it's going to have to extend the, well, what I'll have to do is figure out how long it needs to be for 45, and then I'll pivot it back. And what I'll end up doing is putting a slot in here so that I can locate it where it needs to be at any point along there. All right, I got this piece of white oak that I'm going to use for my fence. I'm going to make two of them out of this. And what I've done is laid out, this is 45. And I'm going to take it slightly past that just in case. So and then what I did was make a mark here, which would be the end of the slot for 45. But I'll probably take it maybe, I don't know, 3/4 to an inch past, somewhere in here. And then this same thing, I made the same mark on the end down here. And the beginning marks are 90 degrees. So I'll set this up at 90. And here's my start point here, and that's going to have to go a little bit past as well. I'm going to go to about there. And here's the center of the middle slot. Looks good. I'm going to set up for the other two slots, cut it the same way. And we can rip it in half and see how it's going to look on my setup over there. Okay, there it is. I'm very happy with the way this turned out. These custom knobs that I basically cut them from a tool that I had a while back, and I had ordered a bunch of these, and they've just been sitting in a box, but I can cut them any custom length. These were originally 12 inches long. This one was a little too short, so I went up and got 4 more, and they're just probably an 1/8 inch longer than this one, which gives me full threads into my T-nuts. But you can see it's very easy to slide this up and down, position it anywhere I want, and then if I just want to go 90, why I can set that up here and flush it up, lock down this knob, or tension it I should say, not really lock it. Come to the back, tension that one, then go to the middle. And there we are. That's a 90-degree cut. Bring in my plane here. That's where the other one went. Okay, get that set up. Just bring in a piece of wood here. Make my cuts. Beautiful. So 45 or anything in between is easily attained. 22.5, whatever you want to do. Sometimes I know when I'm shooting 45-degree miters, one miter is 46 and the other one is 44. So you have to have that ability to adjust this. And if I just leave that snug and loosen these, now I can, I guess I can loosen that one as well. Dial this into 45, right about here. There's 45, and then I can just make sure that this corner is flush, so I don't have to have a custom fence every time. Not every time, but swap out fences. I could take that fence. I could take this one and cut this at 45 and have this be a 45-degree fence, but really no need to do that. So there's 45. So if I snug this down, make sure that's flush. Right there. It's just hanging over just a bit. If I took that little corner off there, I wouldn't be that upset I get either, but there's 45. But I have the ability to take this to well past 45. Let's just see where it's going to max out here. That's at the end of the travel down here. I hope you can see this. Yeah, right down here. I'm at the end of the travel. So I would say that that's probably at least 50 degrees. Not quite sure. So I've got any possibility of angles from 90 to 50, I'll say. Bringing it back to 90 easily. It's just so easy to adjust it to whatever angle I need. That is going to be so nice. Beautiful. Then the other thing that I would say that's nice about this is that if I don't want to use this with this particular plane, I can take this fence off and use, say, my number 7 or 5.5, whatever. I can bring in another plane and use the full width of this deck and shoot boards that way as well. So there it is. Oh, here's one other thing I will tell you is that I did not attach a board to the bottom here. All I've done here is put 2 stops in my work table. These Festool stops. They're low enough, or the setup of the deck is just high enough that that clears. And then I've got 2 stops on this side to keep it from going this way. So I mean, it's rock solid. It's not going anywhere. And I like that too. You know, if I had to, if I wanted to pin it down, I could put a clamp out here and pin it out here with a single clamp. But that's not going to be necessary, I don't believe. There it is. New and improved any angle shooting board. That's what I'm going to call this. Any angle shooting board. So, thanks for watching. And see you in the next one.